I got another one for you. Why does anybody take this guy seriously? About, well, like I said, anything, but certainly about topics like this. Why is he even on this show?
But you're arguing with something I didn't say. I'm saying the official narrative was that it didn't come from the lab. If you get the, you cannot get it and you cannot transmit it. These were huge stories that were flatly wrong. No, you're shaking your head. That's not wrong.
The official position of the NIH or the government was not that if you get it, you will never transmit it and you will never get sick. I know that there is the one quote that people, yes, I'm aware that there's the one quote, but for anybody that honestly followed any of that or saw all of the statements, nobody actually thought that. It is unfathomable to me that people that will make so many excuses for every single Trump gaffe will come out and take like 7 words quoted by the president.
What excuse have I?
Somebody, maybe Andrew Wilson, if you're watching, he reminds me of the guy that was on Starship Troopers when they were having the debates about whether the bugs were intelligent or they weren't intelligent. Have you ever met a bug? I've never read it. I find this whole line of questioning ludicrous or something. He reminds me exactly of that character on that movie. Oops, wait a minute.
I know that there is the one quote that people, yes, I'm aware that there's the one quote, but for anybody that honestly followed any of that or saw all of the statements, nobody actually thought that. It is unfathomable to me that people that will make so many excuses for every single Trump gaffe will come out and take like 7 words quoted by the president and go, oh my God, they said the vaccine was 100% effective. It would never, that's unbelievable. Nobody really thought that. That's an unbelievable position.
Fine. During 2021, we should be able to manufacture a lot of vaccines, and that vaccine.
All right, the rest of it goes into the vaccine thing, but I just wanted to show you that one too. It's like where he's just basically getting like that was like L number 3 this week. Okay, so people are saying, and I got this. Granted, I get you. Yes, well, you're talking about it right now. Okay, yeah, I am. You know why? Because this is the same asshat who was giving me shit about this time last year. Why is anybody taking him seriously as a red pill pundit, as talking about the red pill, or like he knows anything about the red? He doesn't. He doesn't know anything about Palestine versus Israel, apparently. He doesn't know anything about the vaccine. I'm sure Candace would probably ran him up the flagpole for something like that. Who even knows, right? I mean, the fact that Candace kind of ran him to ground in his own apartment was interesting. But what's funny to me is this is my description, okay? He's the same as Ben from the Dr. Phil show, right? He's the same as, he's basically Pearl. He's there to be a foil now. Prior to all of this, he was probably someone that they were taking seriously because he had something to say. He had a large following. He was a Twitch guy. He was a Twitch kid that came over from Twitch and successfully moved himself from Twitch all the way over to YouTube. He's got a big network. I'll give him that. You know, he's not stupid when it comes to like fucking with people. But now he's the one that's getting fucked with. And my main concern, I think I'm probably more concerned with the sort of the mental welfare of Destiny than I am of Pearl at this point, because Destiny was on top for a while. And now here we are 18 months later, right? Or close to 18 months later. And he's the one who's taking the L's. And the reason he's taking the L's is because he's more useful as a foil than he is as somebody who's actually someone with any kind of legitimacy or in anything that he's talking about right now. So that's why Piers Morgan has him on and is very complimentary to him, has him on with Tommy Lahren of all fucking people, right? And is like the thing about Piers Morgan is this, and Pearl, you need to listen up here. This is why you got fucked. Okay. The thing about Piers Morgan is like he'll bring you on like he did with Andrew Tate. He was impressed with Andrew Tate the first time he came on. Like he was trying to like sort of softball Andrew Tate. In the consecutive ones, he gets harder and more like in your face afterwards. So what Pierce does is he gives you one good show, and then all the other shows that are after that are gotcha shows. And I don't think Destiny really picked up on that. So Destiny's on Piers Morgan. He's kind of like, oh, Pierce really likes me. No, he doesn't. He's just fucking lulling you into a false sense of security so that the next show that he invites you on, he can use you as a fall guy. He can use you as the patsy. And that's exactly what's happening to him right now. And the thing about Destiny is like, I don't know if he's mentally there enough to really wrap his head around that. Number one is that now he's more useful as an idiot than he is as somebody who's like a legitimate source for this shit. That's number one. The other thing is like when guys get to that point and their egos get sort of built up and thinking, well, I must be smart because all these people are asking me on their show. I must be a genius because I got $1 million in my bank account. No, you're just fucking useful. That $1 million in your bank account is not because you're a fucking genius. It's just because you're useful now. And Pearl should know something about this because this is exactly what Pearl does. She'll pull people in and then she'll fuck them. She's only your friend insofar as she can use you. Once you outlive your usefulness, if you're more useful to her, being thrown under the bus, trust me, she will fuck you as soon as smile at you. And by the way, she's not the only one who does this. Clearly, Pierce Morgan does this shit too. That's why I keep saying Pearl's a shit human being, because that's exactly what she does. Will use you, or she'll be your friend and hang out with you and have some sort of smile at you and be fun, talk about the kids and the dogs and stuff like that until you're no longer useful. Or I should say that, until you're more useful with her fucking you than being cool with you. And Pierce Morgan does the same thing. And by the way, a lot of people do this too. I could name some other names here, but I'm gonna shut my mouth and be cool about it. But that's the way this shit works. The podcasting world right now is like the Wild West. Most people, like I think one of the reasons that it's so difficult to sort of prosecute people for slander and defamation and all the rest of this stuff is because the people who would have to actually judge that case, like if you have a jury or you have a judge that's trying to sort of wrap his head around what the fuck is the red pill? What the fuck is the manosphere? What the fuck is this? Well, do you have a trademark? Do you not? Like they don't have any frame of reference for what we do. And so as a result, it's like trying to it's like gangbusters in the Roaring '20s, right? When there was prohibition. You didn't want to rat out the guy who's making bathtub gin down the street when you're making bathtub gin too, and he's out selling you, and you can't go to the cops because if you go to the cops, they're going to shut you both down and take you to jail because it's prohibition, right? So you've got this kind of like lawless black market for alcohol at the time, but in this case, it's content. Think of the alcohol and prohibition as content today. So if you're going to go and steal somebody's shit, I can't go and say, well, oh, well, Myron ripped me off here or Pearl ripped me off here or Kevin Samuels ripped me off here. I can't do that and then actually have any legitimacy in saying that because everybody else is using everybody else. So it's kind of like the Wild West. It's like there's only justice in the Wild West is frontier justice. And so some of that frontier justice bites you back in taking L's on Pierce Morgan and also taking L's right here. Don't bring up Sadia Psych. If you want to talk about somebody who's got no legitimacy, there you go. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So that was my build up to getting to this.
That's something that both of us have spent a little bit of time orbiting in one form or another, either you debating it or me getting abused by it. Mm-hmm. What do you think's happening with the red pill at the moment?
Yeah, I think most stuff has probably a 2 to 4 year shelf life for internet content. And I think it kind of came and it kind of went. Andrew Tate and the pre-trial or pre-indictment imprisonment probably hurt a bit because it took away a lot of the publicity. I think that the nature of the conversations for the red pill stuff, I think was really bad. I think the content strategy from a lot of the red pillars, I think was very subpar.
How so?
Okay, so he's presuming that there was a strategy to begin with. He's also presuming that the red pill has only existed for 4 years. Again, the red pill begins and ends with Andrew Tate, to a guy who has no frame of reference and has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know the Rational Male. The first book was published in 2013. He doesn't. When this guy was watching Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents, I was writing on So Suave at that time. We were having these conversations. We were hashing out things like alpha widows. We were hashing out things like the war brides dynamic. We were hashing out things that are staples in the red pill right now, the manosphere. We didn't even call it that back then. The desire dynamic, right? You cannot negotiate genuine desire. That goes as far back as 2004, 2006. What the fuck was he doing then? He would have been 15 years old. He would have been a sophomore in high school when all this shit. When I first started writing, let's say if you go back 20, 22 years, it would have been like 13. Maybe he was in middle school. Really? So when I see shit like this, why Chris Williamson? Why? This is a missed fucking opportunity. And this is boring boring as fuck because you got the same dumb kid who's been taking L's left and right on your show. I would love to see what the analytics, I don't know, I could probably go look him up. I would love to see what the analytics are on this show because he's asked him the same thing before. He's asked exactly the same question before. What do you think, the red pill's dying? No, it's not. As a matter of fact, here's the funny thing is you go and you take away me and Myron and Pearl and everyone else. You take away any Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul. You take away every luminary, every personality, every influencer that is not red pill, that's red pill adjacent and red pill, right? You take away all these people. You still have the red pill. It's still there. It's an idea whose time has come. The red pill is an idea whose time has come. When people conflate you want to know why, what drives me insane? Why is Rolo talking about this? Well, because Andrew Tate single-handedly fucked the red pill. Pearl is still single-handedly being the straw man, fall guy, patsy that fucks up the red pill. You know why he has this opinion? Because he doesn't know anyone except for Pearl or Andrew Tate. He thinks that my work begins and ends in 2020, apparently, right? So why is anyone taking him seriously? Why does anyone take him seriously about the red pill? Why do they take him seriously about Palestine and Israel? Why do they take him seriously about the COVID C-19? Why? Well, now they're taking him seriously because he's easy to fluster. He's easy to get cheap fucking content out of. That's all you are, Steve. You're just cheap content. Pearl, that's all you are. It's just cheap content. You want to know why they don't want to, you want to know why you got to use my fucking name to get James Sexton so you can get on, so you can like pull me out and put, so you can get yourself and fucking James in there because you were worried about what was going to happen that already happened with Michael Knowles. You're going to be there on your own, ass out, because what her plan was to get herself and James Sexton and have James Sexton do all the heavy lifting with Michael Knowles and hopefully Matt Walsh. Well, it's supposed to be Matt Walsh, as we've heard earlier, right? Now that I know that they preempted, Matt Walsh preempted Tim Pool because he thought he was going to get a shot at James Sexton, courtesy of Pearl, who was going to deliver. I'm glad to say that didn't work out. I kind of wish, again, missed opportunity. Imagine myself and James Sexton on a panel where it's going 2-on-2 against Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles. You would have a much different show. You would have Daily Wire, you would have had a much better show if it would have been myself and it had been James Sexton. You hadn't fucked around. If you hadn't fucked around with Tim Pool, if you hadn't fucked around with me, you would have had the content that you wanted. And we would have run you guys to ground, but it would have been great engagement. Even though you don't even have live streams, and you would never do that live. They would never want to do that. None of these guys want to do it live because they can't control it. That's why I keep saying, you want to know why people keep saying, well, Rolo, why do you always want to have these guys come to Vegas? Why do they have to come to you? Because I can do it fucking live. Because I would do it exactly what I am doing with you guys right now in the chat. So you can see it happen live in real time. And you can also feel like you're a part of it. You can ask questions. You can drive the course of the conversation. You can't do that at Daily Wire. You only get what they want you to fucking see. I want to be fucking way more transparent than that. You'll still get the clips. You can still mine them for clips right after the live stream. But everybody who's watching that live and putting in super chats and talking about it, I got much more respect for Tim Pool, who does it live, than I do for anyone at fucking Daily Wire. Because they had, at least Tim Pool and myself and me and Mike, and when we do Access Vegas or whatever, even Brian, even Myron, they do it live every single day. That takes a lot of fun. I don't know if people really understand how much balls that fucking takes to go on there, because people are going to be in the chat going, hey, fuck you. Trust me, when last time I was on Fresh and Fit back in November with Mike and everything, I'm looking at two chat streams. One's from Rumble and one's from YouTube. And the guys on Rumble, you could say anything. I mean, the worst, most heinous shit. And I'm watching now. Well, it's Rumble. What are you going to do, right? People are going, fuck this old guy. Fuck his grandpa. Fuck him. I'm like, yeah, dude, but I can fucking kick your ass and I lift more than you at my age. What's your fucking excuse? Right? But I can at least have that. I can see it on the screen. I can be like, yeah, I could do that. I don't get to do that on Daily Warrior. I don't get to do that on Dr. Phil. It's all controlled and you only see what they tell you to see. So unless you're doing it live, it takes a lot more balls to do a live stream than it does to do what Chris Williamson is doing right here. There's no live element to this. He's just hoping to God that somebody wants to watch a 2-hour, another boring ass video interviewing Steve Bunnell. Destiny is here. Let's talk about is the red pill dead? Okay. Didn't we talk about this like, I don't know, 8 months ago, 6 months ago?
Like for me, the way that I've stayed fresh and relevant for 15 years of content creation is because I'm always finding like new stuff to talk about or a new angle to kind of like hit something from, or like I'm kind of moving on with contemporary events.
Yeah, because you're a fucking flake in the wind. And for the last 15 years, let's see, StarCraft, League of Legends, you were a Twitch streamer right up until what, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago? You're not staying around. See, this is a guy who believes his own bullshit. Or I should say that he believes the bullshit that other people have like led him to believe. This is like the reality. This is a pathological personality, by the way. This is a reality distortion bubble right here. Well, I stay relevant and everything. This is my content creation platform. And I'm like, no, you stumbled into this like most of your Twitch kid friends did. The only reason you even came over to YouTube was because you got banned off of fucking Twitch.
I feel like for Red Pill stuff, I feel like I could have written the script for those shows after being on 2 of them, to where it's like, okay, guys, today we're going to talk about, does body count matter? Do guys value you for the amount of money that you make? Do women fuck over men in divorce? Are men lonely because they're simps? It was like,
yeah, it's boring in the same way that this is boring as fuck, because here's Chris Williamson asking you the same thing he asked you, what, the last time you were on, what, 8 months ago, 6 months ago? How come it's not like, hey, why don't I do a show with Destiny and talk about Melina? That doesn't show up, right? Because it's controlled. You want to know why Chris Williamson doesn't want to talk to me? It's because he can't control the narrative. He can't control what he doesn't know what I'm going to say. I'm a loose fucking cannon. So, and by the way, there's other people he won't. It's not just me. There's other people he won't talk to because he can't control the narrative. He's not going to get what he wants out of it. That you want to talk about your platform. You want to talk about your like keeping it fresh. You want to talk about like doing something new. Well, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's red pill content, and it's been around a lot longer than fucking he's probably even been alive. I'll pull that out of there real quick. But again, this is the useful idiot. So when he goes on Chris Williamson and he's all in, 6K, 8K, high def, very well produced. Don't get me wrong. Valuetainment, very well produced. Chris Williamson prides himself in a very well run, well produced show. Certainly better than what I'm trying to do right here today. Very much so. Yes, it's live, Project Althea. Would you like to ask a question? Please feel free. So yeah, it's funny. Yes, that's all I've been talking about right now. This is live. You're live right now, bro. Welcome to the party. But yeah, so I have more respect for guys who actually do, and it's the only thing I've ever done. I've been doing live streams since the Pat Campbell days, since 2018. I haven't seen any reason not to do it. I've always been about this kind of content. Yeah, that's why I stuck around So Suave for as long as I did, because I liked the back and forth. I like the engagement. I like having those conversations because it helps me think about shit. I sometimes I'll even use like comments on here as like starters for an essay or certainly an idea. That's the problem. The problem is everybody wants these really tightly controlled shows like Michael Knowles and Pearl. Of course you're going to look like an idiot, Pearl. Well, I mean, you're an idiot anyways, but like, of course you're going to look like an idiot because they're going to make sure you do. The best thing you can do, like when I went on, like granted, okay, I went on Dr. Phil, but I knew what was going to happen. And so what happens is if I can't go into the Lions, if I can't go on Tim Pool and know that and be confident in what I'm going to say and not make an idiot of myself, and I knowing full well that even the slightest gaffe is going to be taken and turned into the next vasectomy tweet. I know that. I have to be bulletproof when I go on there. Now, maybe not. I mean, Tim Pool is probably not like out to get me, right? But if I went on to Daily Wire or something, I would know I had to be bulletproof, and I would have to study up. I would have to know what my opponents know, what their conversation is going to be. I would have to be prepared for that shit. And even Mike Sartain was saying the same things. Like, if I'm going to go head to head with Destiny, if I'm going to go head to head with anybody, if I don't know them, of course, I'm going to spend even that much more time on them. But even if I do know them, I'm going to go back and look at the last 10 videos that they've done. I'm going to go back and look at their stuff. I'm going to have do, I don't know, OPSEC on the guy that I'm supposed to go after, right? I knew going in to Dr. Phil. I knew Dr. Phil, that was number one. Then Richard Reeves, who I was the one who actually suggested. I knew what I was getting into with him. I didn't know Marilyn was going to be on there. She was the divorce attorney, but it was good because she was I was on friendly footing with her because she's a divorce attorney in Reno and she'd been on Donovan Sharp's show. Then there's Imran Ahmed. He was the wild card. He was the X Factor. I didn't know who he was, so I did all of my fucking homework on this guy before I went on there. So I knew what I was going to get into. I knew what he was going to say beforehand. If I can't do that, Pearl, if you can't do that, you got no fucking business being in the, doing this period, but you got no business being on those shows at all. If you can't go in there, oh, I'm going to look like an idiot. Oh, I'm so worried they're going to make me look bad. Yeah. Go in there knowing that that's what they're going to say and be ready for it.